At Contagious, we look at marketing, consumer culture, and technology, and what happens when all of those things kind of smoosh together in the crazy, exciting way that it's all been doing lately. We publish a magazine each quarter. We also consult with brand clients like the BBC. We work a bit with Google, Nike, all kinds of interesting people. And we also publish a weekly intelligence feed for particular brand clients, helping them figure out, I guess, what all of the new technology and the consumer trends mean for them in particular. So that's what we do. And one of the topics that's been of fierce interest to us at Contagious, and me in particular over the last few months, is this idea of frictionless retail. I guess I should start by saying technology is awesome. I love it. I am a fan, but it's not completely foolproof, and sometimes it trips us up chronically. So I wanted to start today by showing you a film which I love to tiny pieces, and I think you guys will probably enjoy it too. It's going to seem very familiar.
Hey, just that, thanks.
You sure?
Yeah.
Username?
Oh, Nick M?
No.
NM 1983?
No.
Zandy Pops?
Sorry.
Zandy Pops?
No, okay. Don't worry, I'll help. What's your postcode?
Oh, it's GU749ZT.
Welcome back, Nick Forever. Please listen carefully to this bread license agreement before continuing with your purchase of a loaf of bread. If you do not, blah, blah, blah. You also agree not to use any bread-based products for any purposes prohibited by United Kingdom law, including without limitation, design, development, manufacture of missiles, chemical, nuclear or biological weapons.
Tick.
I'm afraid you've timed out.
What? Sorry. Hello? Excuse me. Oh, yeah, hey.
Just one loaf, sir.
Yeah, we just...
What's your username?
It's Nick Forever, but number 4, not the...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to check that you're a real person. Could you say that for me?
That's not even a word.
Okay, how about this one?
You know what, forget it.
Or this one?
Hippo Potter Nice.
You're in.
Great, I'm in.
£8.85.
It's supposed to be 98 pence.
Plus express delivery.
What's that?
Oh, well, it's express delivery. It's fast. So there's, standard.
Standard.
Standard delivery, that's £4.99.
Why?
Bread insurance. You didn't untick the don't decline bread insurance option.
You know what, I think I'll risk it.
It is quite close to the sell-by date.
Don't care.
98 pence it is. If you want to pop back in 5 business days, it'll be ready for your collection.
Well, I need it now, obviously.
Oh, OK. You want the take-home today price? Well, that's £3.27.
You know what, I'm going to go.
Come back soon.
I won't.
Dear customers, this call will be closing in 10 minutes. Please proceed to checkout. Please proceed to checkout. Thank you.
So yeah, we've all been there, right? This stuff is hilarious as long as it's happening to some other poor sucker. When it's happening to us, it's infuriating to an almost extraordinary degree. Just to kind of put it in context, we're not very patient people these days. When we're shopping online, for example, like three-quarters of us won't hang around to complete a registration form on an online retail site. We'll wait maybe an average of 2 whole seconds for a page to load. And if that delay extends to 3 seconds, well, 40% of us, almost half of the shoppers on a website, will flounce off somewhere else completely, possibly never to return to that particular site and spend their money with them. I guess the wonder of technology and what it allows us to do has given way to an almost criminal lack of patience when it somehow seems to fall short. And the more that we move from tethered technology, our PCs and whatnot, to the free-range stuff, you know, the tablets and the mobile phones, the more thinly our patience with these kind of delays and hiccups in service is thinly stretched. These screens are tiny. Nobody enjoys the process of sort of inputting delivery addresses on a 3-inch by 2-inch screen, or God help us, reading terms and conditions on that little tiny glowing square. It's not fun. But it's really important, and it's important that retailers begin to get this stuff right. The experience of PayPal is a striking example of why it's important. Back in, I guess, 2007, mobile payments were edging up to the $7 million per year mark for PayPal. But between 2008 and 2009, I guess the year of 2008, we see this extraordinary spike in the amount and the value of the transactions that these guys were processing. Anybody care to hazard a guess as to why that might have been? What happened in 2008 to make that spike occur? Well, yeah, you're halfway there with the iPhone. That came out in 2007. But more importantly, in 2008, in the middle of the summer, the App Store opened. So PayPal were in like Flynn with their first ever PayPal mobile app. And lo and behold, suddenly it's much, much easier to start paying by mobile, and people start actually doing it, and it gathers momentum like you would not believe. Now, I think this year the expectation is that PayPal will process mobile transactions through that app to the value of $7 billion. Now that's just PayPal. Globally, Gartner are suggesting that the transaction value overall will come in at something like $171 billion. That's a lot of money. And you know, you guys as retailers and being connected with brands, you need to understand how to make sure that part of it comes your way too. Now, it's all really encouraging stuff, but I think for the last 18 months, there's also been this kind of parallel sense that retailers around the world are really spooked by the idea that mobile technology is somehow going to be bad for their bricks and mortar operations because of things like showrooming, which we must all by now have read about. It's this thing where you'll go into a bricks and mortar store, scan the barcode on an item to compare it to the price that's being charged by a competing retailer. Now, all too often, the result of that process might be that you go and spend your money somewhere else instead. Now, in the US, Best Buy hit the headlines, I think it was last year around about Black Friday. They started trying to cover up the barcodes on some of their key products because they were so freaked out by the competition that was being launched against them by Amazon. Now, Amazon weren't exactly playing fair in this situation. They were offering people a $5 discount if they stood there in Best Buy and used their Amazon Price Check app to compare the prices with the online version, in the hope, of course, that people would make the transaction there and then on their mobile phone when they saw that they were getting a better offer. So that's a really, really alarming thing if you're a retailer. But I think we're kind of beginning to move past that now. And I think what it's important to understand is that if we focus purely on price when we're sort of working out the uses of technology, what it ultimately leads to is what Ron Johnson describes as the race to the bottom. Now, we listen to what Ron Johnson says because he is the guy that created the Apple retail brand and made it into the most valuable retail name in the world. Those guys do insanely well and they know their stuff. Ron Johnson is a bit of a legend as far as I'm concerned. And he describes this whole sort of stripping away of the retail experience by mobile-based apps like Price Check as a race to the bottom, because what you're doing if you follow that route is kind of stripping away everything that's fun and magical and an experience about shopping. You're taking it to its absolute bare essentials. It's all about transacting. And that's a really, really different thing from what most of us would consider to be a shopping experience. Now, the difference is huge, and it's something I think that the film Breakfast at Tiffany's really, really captured. I don't know how long it is since you guys all watched it, but the lovely Miss Holly Golightly, as played by Audrey Hepburn, whenever she gets an attack of the mean reds, what does she do? She jumps in a cab and goes off down to Tiffany's so that she can hang out there, soak up the atmosphere, the vibe, and the ambience of that amazing, amazing place. And the reason she does that is because it will never, ever let her down. So it's all class and all confidence, and that bubble is never, ever burst by an accumulation of little reality check moments like we saw in the Google film that chip away at your experience of the brand. And that's the bigger picture that I want to focus on today. The ways in which brands and retailers are using technology to build up and add value to the experience that they offer their customers wherever they might be shopping, whether it's, you know, on the sofa at home or out there on the high street in the real world. Now, there's not much doubt that our online experiences are changing our expectations of real-world retail, but there's mounting evidence that the influence flows both ways in this. These are the results of a survey that was carried out by Google and Compete earlier this year. And what they discovered, we see that 57% of apparel sales will be online influenced in 2012. Now, that is not that they're all going to be happening online, but they will have been affected by something that we've seen online, a process, maybe an item, maybe our experience of browsing on a particular online retail shop. But perhaps that's driving us into the bricks and mortar store. The other interesting stat here, 75% of us research clothing online after seeing an offline ad. So we might be browsing a magazine, and that will make us think, I want to see more like that, and head to the brand's website. So, you know, the influence flows both ways, and it's important to kind of get a sense of what brands and shops and retailers can do to kind of capture that two-way thing and build up the experience that they offer people into something that's appealing and fun and interesting and kind of reflects what we're becoming used to with our online habits these days. So I wanted to start by looking at a Japanese brand called Vanquish. They have a really, really simple use of technology in their store in Shibuya. All of the hangers that their garments are displayed upon have got RFID chips embedded in them, so that when you go to a rail, take an item off the rack, the plasma screens in the vicinity of that garment spring into life, and they do that same sort of thing that you get when you're looking at something on ASOS.com or Net-a-Porter. They show you things that might complement that particular garment. They show you a picture of that item on a model, all perfectly styled in a nice setting. The other thing that can do, you can also affect the lighting of the store depending on which garment you pick up, and also the music as well. So it kind of builds an atmosphere around your interest in a particular item. Now, as a customer, you don't do anything different. You just do what you normally do in a shop. You pick something up and you have a look, and then suddenly there's this kind of rich media experience happening around you. Now, I'm pretty sure that nobody here will have failed to have read about Burberry's new flagship store just up the road on Regent Street. They're using an evolution of this technology in that awesome looking place. They have a kind of magic mirror version of this. So when you pick up a particular product, take it near a mirror, an RFID chip in the bag or whatever it is you're carrying will trigger perhaps some footage showing you the catwalk show with that particular item being carried down the runway, or it'll give you details of that product so you can learn a little bit more about its provenance or how it was made. So again, enriching the experience of the customer in a really seamless, frictionless way, I guess. Now, for brands like Burberry and this clothing brand, it's kind of there for the wow factor. It's a nice to have. And I guess what I think is really interesting is what happens when this becomes almost a necessity for some brands. The stat that we're going to look at here, this floored me when I read it the other week. A survey by Jaguar Land Rover found that, I think back in 2000, the average customer would make 7.5 visits to a car dealership before actually making a purchase from them. But 10 years later, in 2010, we're making an average of 1.3 visits to the dealership before placing an order. Now, that's an incredibly small proportion of the time that we used to spend kind of browsing around, sitting in a car, perhaps taking it for a test drive, chatting to a sales assistant, stroking the paintwork, touching the leather seats. And imagine the impact that has on a car brand when they know that the customer might only be through those showroom doors one time and that's it. And how it affects how they communicate with that shopper online as well. It changes the picture rather dramatically, I think. And Audi have come up with a really beautiful solution to this. It's a really experiential, immersive store, again, just around the corner on Piccadilly, that allows the customers to come and configure their own version of Audi Bliss on huge touch screens and enormous screens that are positioned around the store that allow them to see that creation in one-to-one ratio as life-sized. And an assistant is on hand to kind of take you through every aspect of the whole experience. Let's just let this run. So it's really sort of impressive, immersive stuff. And what it does is, for one thing, it reinforces Audi's long connection with cutting-edge technology. It lets Audi showcase the entire breadth and depth of its range in a store that's got a relatively small footprint in the center of town. So it's the kind of place that you can drop into. You don't have to drive out to Deptford and sort of pull in off the M11 and sort of hang out there for 3 hours in a day. And the other thing as well is that when you go to this place, you will meet and be greeted by an unbelievably friendly, knowledgeable, helpful salesperson whose mission is to start forging a relationship with you, the customer, that will hopefully lead you to spending your money with that brand. So just a really, really interesting evolution of how we can make that kind of big ticket retail happen in a world that's been really changed by technology. And while Audi is busy reimagining this real-life experience, other brands are enhancing the online experience with the same kind of vigor and trying to bring that same sense of impact and personal relevance to shopping at home, for example. So we're all pretty familiar with Zara. It's, it's a fashion brand that's, attracts women with an eye for fashion, but perhaps without the budgets to match. And when those customers are in store, the clothes do the talking. We kind of assess and evaluate the materials and the fabrics and the styles very quickly when we're there in person. But it's kind of different when you're on the sofa at home and you've just got a flat screen in front of you. So they've come up with the Zara iPad, Zara Connect app, I think it's called. And what they've done with that is really focus on making the magazine, the app experience almost like a magazine. They focus very much on beautiful, lush, editorial magazine-style photography. And while you're swiping through all of this stuff in the comfort of your own home, you can dial in a couple of friends to share that browsing experience with you through a chat window that opens up within the app. So what that means is that you can sort of select something for your friends' opinions to be fed back to you, and they can kind of approve or critique it at their leisure, deride it, mock your choice, whatever. And you can have that kind of two-way thing that you get when you're out shopping with your friends as well. We've got a quick little video to show you, give you a sense of how it all looks. I think it's conspicuous that the friends in that little clip aren't there in their pajama bottoms on the sofa, looking really nicely styled. Now, there's frustratingly little information about how many of Zara's iPad users are using the chat functionality. I'd love to see some details about that. But I think Zara is really on the right track in exploring this functionality because people are really, really responsive to the opinions of their peers when it comes to shopping. And one of my favorite examples of this comes from Brazil, where the importance of this peer-to-peer relationship has been a kind of long-standing part of retail culture there. The Avon brand is humongous in Brazil. That whole kind of knock-knock Avon calling, person-to-person selling is a big deal. And quite recently, a consumer electronics brand called Magazine Luiza decided that they could capitalize on this culture and work with Facebook to create an extraordinary platform to harness that kind of existing connection to peer-to-peer shopping. Again, we've got a video to look at that gives you a sense of what they did here. It's really smart.
How can a retail chain go from 727 to 20,000 points of sale in just 2 weeks? Recruiting a new kind of sales force. You. Magazine Luiza presents Magazine You. Magazine Luiza, the second largest retail chain in Brazil, wanted to significantly expand their business. The problem? the average cost of a new store is around $1 million. So, we decided to open them on Facebook and Orkut instead. For the first time, social network users could sell a company's products to their friends without leaving the network. With the Magazzini U app, you can open your own personal store, give it a personalized name, share tips, special offers, and recommended products that only you know your friends like. But we don't. And the best part, actually sell them. For each sale, you earn a commission of 2.5 to 4.5%, paid directly to your bank account. Not a bad way to make some extra money. Magazzini Luiza is 100% responsible for inventory, payment, and delivery. All you have to do is something you already do every day. Talk to your friends. So mouth to mouth quickly became click to click. The goal was 10,000 stores in the first year. We got 20,000 in the first 2 weeks, with a conversion rate 40% higher than the traditional e-commerce store. Magazzini Luiza became Magazzini Eric, Magazzini Maria, Magazzini Laura, Magazzini Joanna, Magazzini You. Open your own store today.
So what's really interesting about this is that a lot of brands have had bad experiences trying to open storefronts on Facebook because they always made it about the brand, them, their site. And what that fails to understand is that people tend not to go to social networks and sites like that to hook up with a brand online. They go there to hook up with their friends and their family and find out what's been going on. So channeling that platform and making it work with a retail concept that was completely new is a really, really smart move. When the sound dropped out on the film just then, the bit that is kind of crucial to this whole idea is that the people who set up their own online store for Magazzini Luiza, they were paid commission for every article that was sold through their curated products on their page. So they had an incentive to kind of to be a part of the program and to join in. But nevertheless, it fit right in with the existing culture there. And it's just a really, really smart play. It really kind of taps into that idea of taking advice from people like me, people who I can trust. And that's tremendously important in a retail environment like we have now, which is characterized by this dizzying, overwhelming choice. So yeah, they were aiming for 10,000, they got 20,000, and it all kind of spins around this idea of trust. Now, IBM's Winning Over the Empowered Consumer report is really, really specific about the role of trust in these important decisions. Trust fosters consumer advocacy, and advocacy leads to increased consumer spending, which we can all get behind. Trust creates the opportunity to create a cognitive monopoly. So the trusted retailer or brand comes first to consumers' minds when they're ready to purchase. There's no desire to shop anywhere else. Now, does anybody here use iTunes? Cognitive monopoly, yes, we're all in with that. Amazon does exactly the same thing and in fact licensed that whole idea to Apple originally. So it's a really, really important impetus that gets people into these amazing sort of purchasing habits. And fostering that level of habitual loyalty really requires brands to go the extra mile when they're thinking about how they can best serve their customers. And it's often about delivering a more personal experience. Sometimes it's about how you leverage technology to create better customer service in your stores. And sometimes, as we saw with Magazzini Luiza, it's about harnessing and rewarding the efforts of your most passionate advocates. Now, one of my favorite examples of loyalty and personalization and insanely satisfying frictionlessness is this idea from American Express. It's a program, a loyalty program called Link Like Love that offers each and every cardholder tailored offers and deals that are worked out on the basis of what they like on Facebook, what they and their friends like on Facebook. It's a really simple scheme. You sign up on American Express's profile page. Worth pointing out that they don't share any information with Facebook. They don't share it with any third parties. It's just you and the card. And depending on the information that they suck in from your profile, they offer you a series of deals. You add them to your card depending on what you think you will use. You might decide that you'll stay at a Sheraton hotel sometime soon. Click Add to Card. And all you have to do to redeem that is pay with your American Express card the next time you're making a transaction with that particular vendor. There's no coupons, no vouchers, no codes. The discount is taken at the point of sale and it appears on your monthly statement. with absolutely no intervention or friction or mucking around in between. It's really, really smart stuff. And we're seeing personalization becoming even more focused than that. The Safeway supermarket chain, for example, has started a form of really specific personalized offers that are based around each customer's purchase history as evidenced by their participation in their customer loyalty program. So, for example, if Jenny has a habit of buying Special K cereal every single week, week in, week out, she might get a special offer that encourages her to try Special K cereal bars. But Jane won't get an offer because she never buys that cereal. She never buys breakfast cereal at all. She'll get targeted with a different kind of deal that focuses on her particular habits. But like I said, this stuff is not always about discounts. It's not always about competing on price alone. And Neiman Marcus, for example, a department store, has an unbelievably, it's a huge reputation for amazing customer service. And they decided to try and enhance that over the last year by introducing an app that made it easier for customers walking in off the street to connect with shop assistants. The app is triggered when you walk through the shop's door, and it gives you a list of the sales assistants who are on duty that day. It tells you about products that you might be interested in, events that are happening in store. And the sales assistants are all carrying around a mobile phone with the app on it as well. So they're alerted when a customer comes through the door who's participating in this scheme. They can see that customer's purchase history. Once again, they use the loyalty program to access that information. A Facebook image of that customer is pinged up for them as well so that they can recognize this dude wandering around the store and accost them with a friendly greeting and a "have you seen this, sir?" kind of thing. So importantly, they also let the user switch the damn thing off as well, because sometimes you just want to go in and goof around on your own. So they cover all the angles there, and they make it easy for the store chain to build up the relationship with the consumer. Now, I have 3 final examples that are all based around the idea of service design, and I'll be shot if I don't make it really quick. So I guess to set up the idea, these little ideas, they're all kind of united by one common goal, a desire to make the customer's life much, much easier. And the process starts by analyzing every single stage of the customer journey to see where the pain points and the tensions arise, and then concentrating really hard until the brand or their agency can work out a way of fixing that somehow and making life better. So you reach a point where people start thinking, oh, why should I do this? And they start thinking, well, why not? It's really easy. So remember our Google film from the beginning where, online shopping is meant to be easy? All too often, online shopping is like this, a baffling ordeal. And Tesco realized that a lot of their customers were struggling with the whole online shopping process, especially when they were relatively unfamiliar with technology and perhaps setting things up for the first time. Their idea is beautifully simple, and we're going to cut straight to the video. You'll see how it works immediately.
Quarter growth should continue at the current rate, which...
Tell me that you love me.
Sorry. The free Tesco grocery app lets you order from your iPhone and has a new barcode scanner so you can pop products into your online basket in one click.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to order a bottle for home.
Excuse me. We've run out of those too.
From your scan to our van. Tesco.com. Every little helps.
So what they're doing there is lowering the barrier to entry for anyone who can work an iPhone, which is Fisher Price for grown-ups, let's face it. So if you can manage ping and a button, then you're in with the whole kind of Tesco online shopping process. Now, the service thing is huge, and one of my favorite new players on this scene is from Barclays, who really, frankly, I'm not wild about as a brand, but they're being very, very clever this year. Perhaps unsurprisingly, given the humongous scandal that they've just had to deal with in the LIBOR rate fixing thing. So part of their effort to reestablish a sense of trust with consumers is by coming up with a range of services that are so goddamn compelling that people just want them and they will sign up and use them. That's a really big deal for these guys. Now, Ping It is a system that allows you to transfer money using your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if the person you're sending it to is not signed up with the program, they receive the cash anyway. It's just like M-Pesa, which has been working successfully for years in Kenya. Now, you might think that Britain doesn't need this. We got a bank on every high street, on every street corner, cash machines all over the place. What's the point? Nevertheless, this really simple service has attracted 1.2 million downloads since February. Average branded app gets under 1,000, I should add. Now, people are using this to make transactions round about the £70 mark. Now, that's incredible. They normally expect transactions like this to be around £20. And the success of this is really, really vital for a brand like Barclays, because it's become, as it says there, their best digital acquisition tool. So if they're acquiring new customers, that's a really big deal, because that, for a bank, is the biggest hurdle of all. We change our banks less willingly than we change our football team allegiances. I think the Co-op did a survey a couple of years ago that suggested that we were much more likely to switch football teams than banks. And so Barclaycard are onto a winner with this particular strategy, and they're rolling out more services as time goes by. You will have to consult your delightful brand perfect report, Adventures in Retail, to find out why I think that an online delivery pizza chain has somehow attained frictionless retail nirvana this year. You must look up the pizza button, because I don't have time to talk about it now, and you're going to absolutely love it. So I will leave you, not with my takeouts, which once again you can read in the report, but with one final quote from Jeff Bezos, because I think it sums up the challenge that's facing retailers everywhere in this tech-heavy environment where choice is everywhere and people can wander off on a whim. Above all else, align with your customers. Win when they win, and win only when they win. I hope you enjoy the rest of today's talks. I think it's going to be fun. Thanks, everybody.